It started at a birthday party. No stage, no spotlight, just four teenage boys in a Detroit living room in 1954, singing because someone asked them to. In that ordinary moment, something extraordinary was born. No contracts, no plans, just four voices locking together in a way that would change music forever. 70 years later, their sound still feels alive. The Four Tops didn't just make hits, they built a legacy. 50 million records sold, global stages conquered, generations moved by songs that still hit as hard today as they did back then. And yet, behind the success lies a story of brotherhood, loyalty, and inevitable goodbye. By 2026, all four original members are gone. The last voice fell silent in July 2024, closing a chapter that can never be rewritten. But here's the question: can a legacy like this ever truly end, or does it live on every time their music plays? If this story touched you, stay with it, because what comes next is unforgettable. Levi Stubbs, Abdul Duke Fakir, Ronaldo Obi Benson, and Lawrence Payton were all born and raised in the tough north end of Detroit in the mid-1930s. They did not all attend the same school. Levi and Duke went to Pershing High School on the northeast side of the city. Obi and Lawrence attended Northern High School. Two different schools, two different friend groups, but the same neighborhood, the same streets, and the same deep roots in the black church music that ran through Detroit like a river. They met for the first time at a friend's birthday party in 1954. Someone in the room asked them to sing. The four boys, who barely knew each other, stepped forward and let their voices blend together for the first time. What happened in that room stopped everyone cold. The harmonies were immediate. The chemistry was effortless. The sound that came out of those four young voices was something that felt like it had existed long before any of them had been born. They decided to stay together. They called themselves the Four Aims because they were aiming for the top. The name was honest and the ambition was real. They signed with Chess Records in Chicago in 1956 and changed their name to the Four Tops to avoid confusion with a popular group called the Ames Brothers. The early years were difficult. Record after record failed to chart. They moved from label to label, spending time at Chess, Red Top, Riverside, and Columbia without ever finding the breakthrough they were working toward. Most groups would have broken apart under that kind of sustained disappointment. The Four Tops kept singing together. For 7 years, they performed their way across America as a polished supper club act, opening for legends like Jackie Wilson, Count Basie, and Richard Pryor. Levi Stubbs, whose cousin was actually Jackie Wilson, watched his famous relative perform and carried those lessons back to his own group. They were learning, they were preparing. They just didn't know yet what they were preparing for. In 1963, Berry Gordy signed them to Motown Records in Detroit, and everything changed at once. Gordy assigned them to the legendary songwriting and production team of Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Eddie Holland, three young men who seemed to have a supernatural gift for writing songs that got inside a listener's chest and refused to leave. The first collaboration between Holland Dozier and Holland in the Four Tops was Baby I Need Your Lovin', released in 1964. It shot to number 11 on the pop chart almost immediately. Berry Gordy later described the moment he first heard Levi Stubbs' voice explode in the recording studio, saying it went straight for their hearts, and everyone in the room knew instantly they had something extraordinary. What followed was one of the most remarkable runs in the history of American popular music. I Can't Help Myself, better known as Sugar Pie Honey Bunch, became their first #1 hit in 1965. It's the same old song, Shake Me, Wake Me, and then in 1966, the song that became their signature, Reach Out, I'll Be There. It went to #1 on both sides of the Atlantic simultaneously, making the Four Tops an international phenomenon overnight. Bernadette in 1967, Standing in the Shadows of Love, Hit after hit after hit, each one built on the same foundation. Levi's raw, pleading baritone driving the melody forward, while Duke, Obi, and Lawrence wrapped around him with harmonies so tight they sounded like a single instrument. What made the Four Tops different from almost every other Motown group was something that went beyond the music. While Diane Ross was billed separately above the Supremes, while Shooky Robinson had his name before the Miracles, the Four Tops always presented themselves as equals. Levi Stubbs turned down multiple offers to record as a solo artist. He turned down the lead role opposite Diane Ross in the film Lady Sings the Blues, a decision that would have made him a Hollywood star. He chose his brothers instead, every single time. They remained together without a single lineup change for 43 years. That is not a typo. 43 years. The same four men who sang together at a birthday party in 1954 were still singing together in 1997. No one had left, no one had been replaced, no feuds, no departures, no quiet exits. Just four men from Detroit who had found something in each other that they refused to let go of. And then, the goodbyes began.
Lawrence Payton was the quiet genius of the group, the man who heard harmonies the way other people hear melodies. Levi Stubbs once said of him, he could pick notes out of the air. He had that gift. He was the one who arranged the vocal parts that made everything work, who spent hours finding exactly where each voice should live inside every song. He had 11 children and a presence inside the group that went far deeper than what audiences ever heard from the outside. In the mid-1990s, Lawrence was diagnosed with liver cancer. He kept it private for as long as he could. He kept performing. He kept showing up. On June 20, 1997, Lawrence Albert Payton Sr. died in Southfield, Michigan, at the age of 59. His closest childhood friend, Obi Benson, was devastated. Aretha Franklin, who had known Lawrence since their shared childhood in Detroit's North End, sang at his funeral. The group that had never changed its lineup in 43 years had just lost one of its four pillars. Levi, Obi, and Duke continued performing as a trio, calling themselves simply the Tops in Lawrence's memory. In 1998, they recruited former Temptations lead singer Theo Peoples to restore the quartet to its full sound. But in 2000, another blow arrived. Levi Stubbs suffered a massive stroke. The voice that Berry Gordy had described as going straight for the heart, the voice that Rolling Stone would later rank among the greatest in American music history, went silent. He was no longer able to tour. Levi made one final public appearance with the group on July 28, 2004, at the Four Tops' 50th anniversary concert at the Detroit Opera House. He was in a wheelchair. He could only use one hand. But when he opened his mouth and those notes came out, soft, halting, imperfect, the room broke open. Aretha Franklin had arranged for him to come on stage at one of her own Detroit concerts around this same period, and they performed a duet together. The stroke was visible, but the voice, quieter now and more fragile, was still unmistakably him. Levi Stubbs died in his sleep on October 17, 2008, at his home in Detroit. His wife, Clynice, to who he had been married for 48 years, was at his side. He was 72 years old. Detroit City Council named his birthday Levi Stubbs Day in his honor. He left behind 5 children, 11 grandchildren, and a voice that music critics still struggle to fully describe. Between the loss of Levi and Lawrence, the group had already lost Obi as well. Ronaldo Obi Benson was the base foundation of everything the Four Tops ever recorded. He was also, away from the microphone, one of the most creative and socially conscious minds in Motown history. In 1969, while the group was on tour and their bus passed through Berkeley, California, Obi witnessed police attacking protesters in the street during a riot over a piece of public land. He was shaken to his core. He returned to Detroit and began writing down what he had seen and felt. The song he wrote became What's Going On. He co-wrote it with Al Cleveland and then brought it to Marvin Gaye, who added his own melody and voice to it and released it in 1971. It went to number 2 on the Billboard chart, sold over 2 million copies, and became one of the most important social documents in the history of American music. Rolling Stone ranked it number 4 on their list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. Obie Benson wrote it because he could not look away from suffering and do nothing. In early 2005, Obie had to have his leg amputated due to severe circulation problems. During the surgery, doctors discovered lung cancer. He underwent intense chemotherapy, but the disease had progressed too far. Ronaldo Obie Benson died July 1, 2005, at Harper Hospital in Detroit. Abdul Duke Fakir had been there at that Detroit birthday party in 1954, and for every moment that followed. From the rise of the Four Tops to the heartbreak of losing his brothers, Levi Stubbs, Lawrence Payton, and Ronaldo Obie Benson, he carried it all. By 2008, he stood alone, yet refused to let the music fade. In his 70s, Duke rebuilt the group with purpose. Ronnie McNear, Lawrence Payton Jr., and Michael Brock, each chosen to honor a legacy, not replace it. Legends fade, but true voices never disappear. The Four Tops didn't just sing songs, they carried emotion across generations, turning simple moments into lifelong memories. Even now, their harmonies echo, reminding us what unity, loyalty, and passion can create. From Detroit streets to the world stage, their journey is a testament to brotherhood and timeless music. If their story moved you, don't let it stop here. Like, share, and keep their legacy alive for the next generation to discover and feel. Let their songs continue to inspire hearts everywhere, always today. Thanks for watching.